The time is just gone 11 minutes to 9 a.m. and it's time now to link up with Zarina Motala, who is a candidate for the local government elections in Lenasia. We're talking about Ward 9 and Zarina Motala obviously has been very active over the years in serving the community of Lenasia and to the extent that she's worked with many people and in the past, the likes of Ahmed Katrada and Lalu Chiba, with Dr. Ram Saluji, with Dr. Ismail Wadi, and the like. So she comes with a lot of experience. And just looking ahead at the elections, we are going to be engaging with Zarina Motala in terms of her expectations and also in terms of her campaigning for the election this time around. Sister Zarina, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, and welcome as always to the show.
Wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, and thank you for having me on the show.
Yes. Now, obviously the elections are coming up, and we know that you are standing for the ANC. We've also learned about women, and a lot more women will be featuring this time around in the local government elections. And we've heard the president make the announcement that close on to half of the candidates this time around are going to be women.
Yes. Yes, I think that's always been a policy of the ANC to include women in their 50%. And I think also, Inayet, an important issue regarding the candidate selection was also to incorporate youth and to get youth from various communities, also to stand as ward councillors and on the PR list. And I think most importantly, I think the city had actually struck a very good balance in keeping continuity, and you can't really lose that vein of people with experience as much as you welcome all the news coming in and the youth. I think the thing with continuity also has to just play a major role in government.
Yes. Now, obviously, you have been a community leader. You understand Lenasia. You understand the ward that you are standing in. And just looking at the elections, looking ahead at the elections this time around, and in terms of your campaign as well, what are some of the key areas of your focus going to be?
The lack of maintenance of infrastructure and continuous rehabilitation, I think that's one of the huge issues facing the ward and maybe Lenasia in general, and also our surrounding areas. So I think to that end, I think I've put in a couple of requests already for upgrades regarding the water system, the continuous burst of pipes that we're seeing happening over Lenasia. So I think the issue with accountability as well, you're looking at the ANC's manifesto, and what they're saying is the continuous upgrade of infrastructure, and also looking at ring fencing finances to ensure that the infrastructure around the 3 wards, okay, and maybe Ward 9 in particular, if I'm contesting there, is continuously upgraded and continuously maintained.
Yes, and I think what is important also to understand is we know that nationally there's been a lot of focus on political parties and for various reasons and things that impact basically the nation as a whole. But looking at the ANC, for instance, we know there's been a lot of pressure nationally. We know what has happened recently with regard to the former president, the corruption issues. But again, one needs to separate national from local. And the key issue here is the ability to deliver on a local service and service delivery in general.
Absolutely correct. I think the holding accountability, I think councillors, ward councillors and all councillors in particular, okay, need to hold the executive accountable. And in saying that, I think there are various committees, the Section 79 committees and standing committees in the city of Johannesburg that function fairly well. But how well do councillors read the agendas? How do they comprehend it? How do we hold the executive to account? And in turn, officials need to be held accountable. I think what we've seen over the past, I think for me that stands out is really when someone has done anything wrong or there's mismanagement, the huge issue is the lack of consequence management. Now this, you need a huge shift in this to hold people to account so that when we get projects or any kind of service delivery happening in Inayet, you need to ensure that it's of a high standard and you get the value for money. If you don't get value for money, I mean, then you have, of course, the Auditor General that's also looking at the kind of finances being spent. Okay, so that is a huge issue. How do you have people accountable? Value for money is extremely important. Active citizenry, and I think over the 5 years, what I have seen, there's been a huge increase in active citizenry, which is a good thing because you need to hold councillors to account, and you need to hold officials and the so-called politicians all to account for the lack of service delivery.
Yes. Now, also, Zarina, looking at campaigning, and you've campaigned in the past, but this time around it's a campaign with a difference in the COVID era. How has that changed for you, and how are you overcoming some of the challenges as a result of the pandemic to enhance your campaign and for you to be able to reach out to potential voters?
Okay, that goes not just for me, I think for all councillors throughout the City of Johannesburg and throughout all the provinces. We campaign in a very different environment. For me personally, I think the use of social media is extremely important. You have representatives on these various WhatsApp groups from all wards and from all areas, all extensions. I think that's really a very, very good way to campaign. And I think for me, I've been continuously in touch with communities. Okay, so that really just gives us a go ahead and just puts you in the forefront of saying, I've been interacting with you, and how else do we assist one another? And how do I listen to you? What is it that you need in your ward? What are your main issues? Though I may say, I know what the issues are facing communities. But once again, I think for me, it's going to be important to still engage communities and ask, how do I listen to you? But in Inayet, for me, I think campaigning this time is very different. I've never been a ward councillor. This is the first time I'm contesting as a ward councillor. So I've always been on the list and deployed by the African National Congress on the PR list. So this time it's extremely, it's very different. And I'm hoping that the community can put their trust in me, and we can work together to do the kind of changes we need and to ensure that local government works for our people.
Yes. Now, often, our focus is on the candidate and the ward councillor, but also looking at the team behind you, because we know that there are people in the background that support you during your campaigning as well. What can you tell us about your team?
I think I have fabulous teams and individuals. And I think your main source of team that you need is your branch behind you. And safe to say, I think I've got a good core of people in our ANC local branch that are willing to support me. I have people that I've worked with before in the past that have been my super mentors, males and females across the wards in Lenasia. And I think their assistance is going to help me strongly in ensuring that I win this ward successfully, inshallah.
Well, inshallah. And just looking at how hotly is this ward going to be contested, Zarina?
Yes, extremely. I think it's about 6 political parties. You've got your 3 main parties, then you've got ARM, you've got some newcomers. And, I just want to say, for everybody else contesting the ward, in some way or the other, I think I've interacted with all these elected candidates. And I think it's a good thing. Competition's good. And I'm just hoping our voters make the right choices. And I maybe on your show, I'm asking, and I'm really appealing to people, can you put your trust in me? I'd like to continue to serve you with the kind of vigor and integrity and honesty that I have over the past few years. So I think I'm really going to say, just put your cross next to my name, and let's work together in ensuring we get the best for our people in Lenasia and our surrounding areas.
Well, inshallah, and I suppose you've got quite a tough month ahead of you, Zarina.
I do, and I'm just hoping I'm energized enough, and I think I am, to take on this huge task, and I'm just hoping the people put their confidence in me.
Well, inshallah, Jazakallah khairan so much for that, and for taking time out and talking to us this morning here on Salam Media. We wish you all the best, inshallah, and please take care, please be safe. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Shukran so much for the opportunity, and walaikum salam to you and your listeners. Thank you.
It was Zarina Motala, Lenasia Ward 9 candidate for the African National Congress. And we will be talking to a lot more people over a period of time as we build up to the elections. In fact, the Wednesday night panel discussions starting from next week, we've got a 3-week series where we'll be looking at a whole host of issues in the build up to the elections. And just to remind our viewers and our listeners that tonight I will be hosting members of the South African Muslim Travel Association. We've got Semtoa and we've got a panelist, in fact, a whole panel that will be joining us this evening, inshallah. And our focus is going to be on Umrah, looking at the rules, looking at regulations, and some of the issues that are playing out now that the Umrah season has opened up. So make sure not to miss that. And that is taking place from 7 to 9 p.m. tonight on Wednesday nights, with myself, Inayet Wadee, a panel discussion with the Hajj operators. The time is just gone 9 a.m. We're heading for the news. Tabile Duma at the Al Ansar newsroom is standing by.